Hey guys, are here, and I know it's been a really long time since my last video, but I finally have some time to, record. So here we are, and today I'll be making a little thumbnail tutorial, a little Photoshop tutorial on how to make a thumbnail. The thumbnail we'll be making today will be an easy, simple to make Minecraft themed one, and the only thing that makes this a Minecraft themed one is the background itself. For the backgrounds today, I'll be using a screenshot pack, which I'll be providing in the links to download in the description below. So yeah, check that out if you want it. So yeah, after you open Photoshop, what you actually want to do is click on New, so File, New, and then make a new document. The sizings I use is 1280 by 720 and then 100 pixel resolution. So after you get your canvas, your blank canvas, what I did first was actually dragging my background image just so I know what I'm working with. So after I do drag in my background image, what I would really like to do is add a little blur to it so that it doesn't take away the basically the spotlight from for the text we'll be adding later on. So after I add a little blur, another thing I like to do is add a little vignette effect to it. So by making a new layer and putting the layer on top, what I do is take a black brush, a soft black brush, and then go around like the edges, like so. And then after you've done that, just add a hefty blur to it, just to your liking. So I chose some a little bit more than that, and then that looks good. And then I mess around with the blending modes as well as the opacity so that it matches the feel of the thing, so they're just not too overpowering. So after you've done all this, I like to merge all my layers together just so they're easier to basically mess around with later. I'm going to rename it to background. There we go. So what I want to do next is actually, I don't know, sometimes I like doing this, sometimes I don't. I'm going to add like little lines, like using the pen tool, make a little path, like a curve going around the outside. You guys really don't need this, and what ends up happening near the end of the video is I end up removing them because I find them unnecessary. But what I'm basically doing here is adding these little curves in a way, just so I direct everything down the middle. I know it's just some aesthetic thing. I don't know, whatever. But this works for thumbnails that are not Minecraft based, or like thumbnails where there's a subject right in the middle. But in this case, it was sort of pointless. But anyways, I'm gonna go on with it for this part, and then I'll remove it later. So the color combination with orange, yellow with black. They seem to be decent colors that complement each other. So yeah, I grouped that layer, called them covers, and then now we're gonna add the text. For the text, you can choose anything. I chose to go with tutorial, and I also chose the same color as the color scheme. What you also want to do is basically make this text actually massive, so because you don't want the text to be really small. So what I ended up doing was making it bigger. It cut out from the text box layer or whatever, so what to do is fix that, you just drag it out, and there we go. So yeah, you want to center your text, and after you've had it, you just want to add some effects to it. So the first effect we'll be adding is actually a gradient overlay. So from a simple default one, just to add like a little thing to it. And the second one would be just a little line in the middle, as you can see from here. Like the left side's black, the right side's white, and then I'm just messing around with the color, not the color, the opacity settings and whatever and whatnot, just to make sure that it looks decent. Alright, and then the next thing we'll be adding is a little inner glow. The settings you can copy from the screen, just pause it, copy. I changed the color a little bit just so it looked more realistic, and yeah, so the settings. Everything's given: choke, size, range, and jitter. If you want the same ones, you can also mess around with whatever. Next thing we'll be adding is stroke, like a little dark orange type of stroke, and it's not too big, just to add like a little. So we'll be doing a little 3D type of effect to it, just not too much anyways. But so we add a drop shadow. Make sure the what's it called, the settings are the same on normal, whatever, and now it looks like it's sort of extruding out. Same color scheme, just a little dark orange. And now it looks a little bit 3D. We don't want to go over the top with that. So what I end up doing is adding another inner shadow, turning in the opacity for this, so it looks like another basically extruded effect, whatever. You can do this if you like. You don't need to. I add like another highlight by adding another inner shadow, making sure it's coming from the lights from the top left, and then changing the distance and whatnot. So it looks like the text is being it's reflecting in a way. So after you've done that and everything, you can choose the colors and whatnot. And after you're happy with what you have, what you basically want to do is click OK and make a duplicate of this layer. I'll show you why in a bit. Making duplicate, go to the bottom one and change the stroke color this time to a white, just so it's easier to read on the eyes in a way. So after you've done that, just click OK and just move this layer down so it's centered. And what we're going to do now is actually group this, call this whatever the text is, and then make a duplicate of this for our second text. So after you make a duplicate, just go to the bottom layer, drag it down, resize it, whatnot. So I'm going to change this text, I'm going to call this tutorial, just so it makes sense. And same with the bottom layer. And as you can see, it fits in and everything's fine. What I'm going to do now is change the color. You can choose any color you like. I went with blue. So what you want to do is after you choose the color, you want to copy the hash, the color code, whatever, and then use it for the bottom one. You don't need to, but just if there's any, like, if you end up changing it later, it's easier to work with. I size it down, and then just move it to the position it's supposed to be in. Now what you want to do is actually, after you're done messing around with everything, you want to go back into your layer styles and change everything that was a brown hue to a blue hue. So here you can see me making everything basically fit the theme of the blue text now. There we go, from the stroke to the inner shadows. And yeah, as well as the drop shadow too, because the drop shadow is actually brown in this case. So there we go, make that dark blue. And then you can click OK. After you've done that, what you want to do actually is, you see, we're going to be basically fixing the little gaps between the text, the two text layers. To do this, all you simply need to do, let me just rename the file, all you simply need to do is group everything together. And then the covers, you can, like as I said before, choose to keep them or not. So after you're done resizing the text, what I end up doing is making a layer in a way. So a layer, I put it below the text, and then I choose a white brush with max hardness. And then you see the little gaps and everything, I just go and fill this in with everywhere, like you see little gaps that don't make sense or that don't look appealing. This just basically, I don't know, makes it look better in a way. You don't need to do this, but if you want to, it's sort of better. So after you're done that, you're done with the text completely. And what I do now is basically just I add like a little glow at the very top of the screen by making a little no hardness brush, clearing it at the top on a new layer, and then in the middle you're choosing a lighter color. And then I add a blur to this. So I go to filter, blur, and then this is a really big blur. You'll see what this does in a bit. So if you set this blending mode to lighten or screen, you can see it looks like it's actually glowing. And this is where I decided to remove the covers, because the covers basically made it so that the blur, whatever I had, was sort of, it didn't look realistic enough. So I tried messing around with the covers or whatever, but in the end I decided, you know what, it's better without it. So yeah, what I ended up doing is actually adding another blur to my background, just because I felt like it was still taking away quite a lot of attention from the text. And then I messed with the CC, making it a little bit less saturated, a little bit brighter and whatnot. And here we go, so this is what we basically have. I add another gray, little dark vignette just around the bottom. Same idea, add a blur to it, and then set this as overlay and whatnot. Or multiply, I don't know, whatever. It just choose whatever you think seems messed. And then from this point on, I removed everything, made sure it looked okay. And at this point, you can actually stop right here if you want. Like at this point, it's good enough. But what I ended up doing is messing with the color, like the CC and whatnot. So adding up, then bumping up the vibration, etc. Not the vibration, vibrance. And yeah, so after you've done everything, I add a little drop shadow to my text. Make sure it's a reset. I reset everything, and then it just makes it so that there's a differentiation between the text and the background. And actually that's about it. There's literally nothing else to this. You can say, if at this point you can basically save this thumbnail and then you can say you're done with it, but if you can rotate it if you want, you can do whatever with it. It's all up to your liking, and yeah, that's about it. And I decided to just keep it straight, because on the rotating it wouldn't make any sense without like a subject. A subject would be like maybe a render of your skin, or like something happening in the background, something like that. And yeah, so at this point, if you want, you can mess around with all these settings, so these filter settings if you want to make it look different. I don't know, but I left it as is. I didn't decide to mess with anything. You can add noise, but for the noise thing, if you go too much, you see it sort of looks ugly. So yeah, you can just mess around with this from this point on, but the basic thing is basically done. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. If you like this video and you want to see more, I don't know, I know this was really rushed because I didn't want to like record my voice while I was recording it. This is like a voice overlay, but yeah, maybe next time I may do a better job. But yeah, thanks for watching.